Welcome back friends, this is Fraser from Art Studio. So today we learn how to create this kind of tablecloth using cloth simulation in Maya. So let's get started. First let's create the basic mesh for the tablecloth. For that you can choose a couple of options. Either you can take a circular plane like this and you can subdivide it a few times. So let's go to attributes over here in the channel box, and you can see over here the subdivisions as 3. You can increase that. I think 5 will be good enough to get the simulation. You can increase it further to get smoother simulations. Now let's position it slightly above the table and increase the size a little bit. You can go to the wireframe mode from the top, so it's easier for you to visualize what's going on, and make it a little big so the draping looks nice. Okay, because that is the main thing which is going to give you the look and feel. I can decrease it a little bit. Okay, that's good. Now let's go back to the shaded mode, and for now let's history delete and freeze transform this. So that's the basic mesh ready. Let's go ahead and quickly turn this to an nCloth. So if you are over here and you're under the modeling tab, just click on this drop down, scroll down to FX, and the FX menu will update over here. From here you can simply go to the nCloth option once the cloth mesh is selected, and then you can scroll down to the second option, create nCloth. Once you do this, you can see in the outliner you have a nucleus 1 node and an nCloth 1 node connected to this mesh. So the cloth has become an nCloth. And if we play animation, simply it will drop down under gravity, limitlessly going, depending on how many frames we have. So I'll just turn this to 120 frames. Okay, so we get a little more time for the animation and the flow. It's a good thing to name the mesh. So we'll name this as a tablecloth mesh. Okay. Now, as you have seen that since we don't have any colliding object yet created, once it drops down under gravity, it's falling down under gravity like this, right? So in order to get this table as a collider, we simply select this mesh. So as you can see, I have just created a sculpt in ZBrush and I imported it into Maya after decimating it. It's kind of a stylized T-table. Okay, basic sculpting's been done, not too much of detailing because it's stylized. Anyways, so let's carry on. Select the mesh table, and then let's go to nCloth once more. And the first option, as you can see, is the create passive collider. You just click on that, and now this table mesh becomes a passive collider. And you can see there's a node called the end rigid one. So now it's a rigid body. Okay, so there's a cloth which will flow and simulate, and there's a rigid body which will obstruct the cloth basically, or interact with the cloth, right? So now it's time for the eureka moment. Let's hit play and see what's going on here. Cool. Let the simulation run. Let's see what happens. As you can see, it's gradually sliding off and then it will fall down and go through the grid. Okay, that's gone. So although it's a passive collider, but there are some attributes of the cloth which is not keeping it on the table, right? That is one part. Another part is, if you've seen my previous tutorials on this nCloth, then you have seen I've turned this grid plane as used as a plane. In the sense, I'll just turn on the attribute editor. So if I just turn the attribute editor over here, if I go to the nucleus node from here, then you can see there's an option called the use plane option. So when we create that, we get this. Okay, the grid becomes the kind of collision plane. And if we run animation now, even though it slides off, it is not going to basically go through the grid. It will slide off and fall on the grid. Anyways, in this tutorial, we are not looking for anything like this. We want it to be on the table. So that is what we need. But in case you are looking for something like that, you can use this. If you want, you can just turn it off and carry on with the attributes of the cloth. You can select the cloth, or you can directly go to the nCloth option over here. Okay, so under that you will see the nCloth shape one node in the attribute editor, and over here we can do a few fixes. um, so there are some dynamic properties of the cloth over here. Okay, we can use that attributes, we can alter the attributes, hide the attributes, or we can simply go to the presets over here, and there are different options for basically already given by Maya. So let's make it little heavier cloth. Mm, so under cloth you can see there's silk over here, there's rubber sheet over here, okay, and there's t-shirt over here. So normally you might have a rubber sheet, okay, kind of tablecloth. So let's check this, replace, and now let's play the animation. Okay. And one more thing, it's not necessary for you to run the entire animation. If you feel at any position, any time where your cloth looks perfect, you can just leave it there. A little more realistic, some portions coming extra from this side, some portion lifted up, not absolutely kind of symmetrical throughout. So it will look more natural. So you can leave it at this frame and then use this mesh for creating the tablecloth. Okay, so this is one thing you can do. Let's go and change this to silk and see how it behaves. As you can see, as soon as we update, these attributes update. So we are not going into the details of these attributes currently. I'll just show you this presets and how it's behaving. So it will slide off a little more. As you can see, it's turning around. But you see what gives you a better look and feel, and you can use that for your tablecloth. So this is if you want something more uniform. This looks pretty good. Okay, let's try one more option, which is your t-shirt. So that's kind of a different material fabric t-shirt. Okay, so the stickiness and the rigidity and the stretchiness, stretch resistance, and all those properties over here, you can see they will vary from fabric to fabric or cloth to cloth. So based on that, you will have different kind of deformations with slight difference in the characters. So go with the one which you feel gives you a better look, more natural. This is not bad either. So let's say we go with this. Okay. So once we're happy with this, we can simply duplicate this mesh. Okay, so we'll just duplicate this mesh, and the entire tablecloth mesh which we have as the cloth with all the nodes, we will group that up now, and just write cloth group. So let this be, and we'll simply create a layer and hide it for now in that layer. If you want to name this layer as cloth, and just save it for now. So let that be. In case we want to further tweak or make any edits to the cloth, we can obviously anytime come back to this and get the tweaking done if necessary. So we have this mesh now. It's already duplicated. We simply delete the history once more. I have shortcuts over here, and obviously if you want to create some thickness for the cloth, you can do that. If you are going for a game engine or anything, you don't need to create any thickness. If you don't want to create any thickness, you can just leave it as it is. You can do a couple more things. For example, you can select this border edge and control E and extrude it a bit. So just like so, faces together on offset division, that's perfect. And then you can just give some thickness to the border. Okay, you can do that as well. Let's do a control E once more for the thickness and just pull this out a bit, and let's give it division, and let's put smooth mode on. So with the smooth shaded on, this is what we get. and it's ready for the pipeline. I'm doing UVs and texturing. Okay, so you have the cloth over here as tablecloth mesh 1. You can just alter the name a bit since we already have one mesh as the tablecloth. Create a difference by that, and yeah, that's it, friends. So I hope you have learned something interesting from this tutorial, and using this method you can create any kind of debris which is falling on an object. So friends, if you're still there till now, please do give a like and share the tutorials to my other fellow community members and artists who are interested in learning this. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notifications on all these kind of tutorials of tips, tricks in Maya and ZBrush as I keep going through the journey helping you out. If you have any comments and queries, if you want anything new or anything specific to learn, you can always DM me. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye. Stay safe and love you all. See you in the next tutorial.